Okay, Neo, you've taken the red pill. Do you want to know the truth? Do you want to know the truth about your cell phone and the television that you're watching? Long before computers, there were black mirrors. Thousands of years ago, obsidian was polished into reflective surfaces by the Olmec, the Maya, and the Aztec. And those priests believed that those black mirrors were portals used for remote viewing, prophecy, and communication with non physical entities. Archaeologists have unearthed obsidian scrying mirrors in temples and burial sites all throughout Mesoamerica. And these were not just symbols, they were actual tools like cell phones. So, over in Egypt and in the Babylonian Empire, they had traditions of recorded mirrors used for divination. They would remote view through these black mirrors, they would spy on enemy forces, and these were used all over the place. In fact, John Dee and Ed Kelly actually worked as advisors to Queen Elizabeth, and they used black mirrors and developed an entire language and divination system called Enochian magic. And this was an actual psychic spy program for Queen Elizabeth. And in every era since then, scrying has been used to receive information remotely. And it's basically getting knowledge and information from a distance without having to be there. And that concept later becomes the internet, because after World War II, the US intelligence agencies were experimenting with mind manipulation, perception, and research. And the psychic espionage and psychic spy programs developed into what was called MKUltra, where they were testing remote viewing, telepathy, altered states of consciousness, and the intelligence community weren't just using these like experimentally, they were using it for psychic spy programs. During the Cold War, the Department of Defense formed a program called ARPA, Advanced Research Projects Agency. And the purpose was to explore different radical research directions in parapsychology and non-traditional information transfer. So ARPA was created to respond to the Soviet Union, but its internal structure grew directly from the same departments that were running MKUltra. In fact, Jacques Vallée entered the picture as a young researcher from Stanford Research Institute, and he studied information systems and remote viewing and psychic communication. Jacques Vallée worked inside the Stanford Research Institute with professional remote viewers like Ingo Swann, and he was a critical part of the development of ARPA. ARPA was actually the very first prototype for what we consider the internet. And from these experiments, ARPA became ARPANET, the first operational packet switching network, and this was a prototype for the modern internet. The intention was to send information across great distances, across multiple nodes, surviving nuclear attack, surveillance disruption, or loss of infrastructure. Later, ARPA added a letter to the start and became DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. That shift marked the moment when the network fully moved under military objectives. From this point forward, the internet was not just a communication tool, but a strategic defense system for monitoring populations, for shaping behavior and controlling information and how it flows around the world. So as computers and televisions are all put into our homes, these television screens and your phone screen, eventually the smartphone, is a modern black mirror. If you turn your phone off or look at your TV right now, it is essentially a black mirror, a scrying mirror. You're looking right into a scrying mirror. The technology performs basically the same function as the ancient Aztecs and Egyptians using black scrying mirrors. But at the same time, the government shifted away from psychic spies into digital surveillance. Programs that used to try and use psychic observers through targets to try and see what was going on, they eventually developed into ARPA, ARPANET, and DARPA, where they can digitally track everything and spy on us right through the black mirror. Now we have this company called Palantir, which is one of the deep state programs that's now embedded in the government. And Palantir is actually named after the crystal ball, the scrying system that Saruman uses in The Lord of the Rings. It's that black crystal ball that he goes up and looks into in order to see what's going on with the hobbits and see what's going on throughout Middle Earth. And so it's no coincidence that Palantir, and the name of that company, is a scrying mirror, and it uses mass surveillance systems the same way as ancient black mirrors and scrying mirrors were used throughout the Babylonian Empire, the Egyptian Empire, and the Aztec Empire. So, this kind of psychic spying, digital information transfer through black mirrors and reflective surfaces, has been going on for thousands of years.